Where are we here? Shoot. Oh, here we go. Okay. Welcome back to the Excel Chart Labs this evening. Pop out chart. This is going to be an Excel session. We're going to forecast Johnson & Johnson's stock data for the first quarter. We're going to do this two separate ways. Of course, before we get started, one note: we'll be doing it two ways. We'll be doing it with the forecast sheet, and we'll be doing it with the forecast function. See if the results are the same. Okay. First of all, what's the first thing you got to do? Of course, as always, the disclaimer. This video is for educational purposes only. It is not for financial, investment, or trading advice. Okay? So let's just jump into our Excel. Okay? You know, I'm actually going to shrink this down a little bit just to, we all know what's here, right? Of course, as always, I want to encourage you all to stop by the chat session and say hi. So we begin up here, a very simple stock history function, Johnson & Johnson. So we want data for the last 2 years up to today. Then it says daily data, headers, date, and close, and that's what you see. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we're going to create a column that contains the first date for each week. That makes sense. Data. Just drop this into a little bit of Power Query here. Well, be sure to stay tuned. In a couple of days, I'm going to be doing this. I'm basically going to do the a forecast video on Google on LibreOffice Calc also. So go over here like so. Convert this to a date. First, let's just sort it. Okay. Date. All right. Click over here to transform. Date. Date. We're going to do week, right? Start a week. All right. Now we're going to come over here. We're going to group by. And we're going to do a group by with the average. Okay, date. There's that. Five, okay, so that looks good. Let's just make sure we're doing this right here, right? Right, we should have one row for each week. I don't know what I'm thinking here, but I can't think right now. Okay, anyway, date. average, open. Wait. Stop, Dave. Stop. Hang on a second. We didn't want to open. We wanted to close, did we? Let's see. Home. Get rid of this. Come back over here. We wanted one. Close. There we go. Okay. How come you didn't catch that for me? Now I'll come back over to data. Table or thingy over here. Delete. Promoted headers. Go to date. Change. Make sure this is sorted correctly. Convert it to a simple date type, right? Then do our group. Date. Weekly average. Close. Now we have one row for each week. Make sure things sorted again correctly. Okay. Let's see. Home. Table. Alright. So here's a weekly, let's just do a quick plot here to see, kind of eyeball our data, so to speak. So this is nice. We saw a bit of recovery over here. All right. So we should get some action back up here, all right? All the way. I'll come back over here. First, we're going to do with the forecast sheet. Let's try this. But it should be evenly placed, right? Because we reduced it down to $1. Because we reduced it down to, well, in that case, let's just move on to forecast. See, that should work because there shouldn't be any gaps like this, okay? Forecast ETS, target date, we'll come down here. Why is there 500 rows? 52 and 52. Interesting. Okay, so our target date, let's cancel this. Let's just come down. Yeah, this doesn't. If there's 52 weeks in a year, right, there should only be 100 rows. Why are there so many rows? Interesting. Get rid of that. So let's come down here. No, it's not right, is it? delete. Come back over here. Here's our dates. Data. That didn't make any sense. This is our close. It wasn't given us one row per week. Week, start a week. So we should have one row for each date now, right? Okay. Group by date. So the first row should be 14 and the next one should be 21. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Now this should work. That was kind of odd because it didn't actually, either didn't do the start date right, or for whatever reason it didn't recognize the date. So we'll come down here. Now we're going to try a forecast through the end of March. Okay. There we go. Okay. Forecast in. That's fine. We're not concerned with the tricky stuff. We're not concerned with stats. We're just going to do an eyeball this over here. Okay. Now supposedly the built-in sheet is kind of smooths over some of the tricky stuff, so the results aren't exactly as you might expect. Let's see, 1 or 0. Because you see, this here says it's going to continue up pretty much in a straight line, so that's our first thing. Now we'll come over here. We're going to use a function. Come down to here. We're going to continue this down through the end of March. Okay. So our first date is going to be over here. This is where we want to start, right? Forecast. So the start date is here, right? Values. There's our values. Timeline. Right? Over here we do 1, 1, and 1. Oh, we got a forecast. Very good. So we can come down here now. Okay. Now let's come over here. So we go over here like this. See if anything's different. Okay. You can see there's a little bit of a wrinkle there, okay, but it's basically telling the same thing. Okay. So now you can see a little bit of difference. To a certain extent, it's probably telling us the same thing. Okay, let's do this. Let's come back over to here. Let's come back over here. Let's just copy it over. We can do a comparison. Let's do a paste. There we go. Let's get rid of this one. Okay. Okay, look here. These are identical, right? Look at that. These are identical. Okay, we're not looking at the right thing here. I don't think. So this would appear interesting. Interesting, huh? In some cases, we're going to see a clear difference here, okay? Okay, so, average, right? Average, so average, green is forecast sheet. Orange is a manual forecast, all right? Interesting, huh? Let's do something a little funky. Let's come over here. Let's copy our headers. Let's just come down here. I don't know. Let's get a little bit of data here. So now let's go here again, insert, and this look better. Okay, so once again, the forecast sheet is more optimistic. It's actually saying it could wind up being around 230. It's current about 210. The forecast function, okay, came over here. So for the first for the first 4 weeks, remember these are weeks, they match. But then it says it's going to drop down. Interesting. Okay. Let's just move these two plots over here out of the way. So, look at the average then. We got to keep that there. Now, since this is our average, let's do this. Let's see if we can produce some stats. Interesting. Here we go, stats, values, so we're going to start up here with 1, seasonality 1. So this is the alpha value. Let's move this over to here. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Alright, so now I come over here and we're going to say timeline so we're going to say this is X2. Okay, let's do this. Okay. Let's just do an X2. Okay, this isn't working quite right, is it? Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to leave this right here. We'll come back in a week or so and we'll check we'll do an update and see how our forecast is looking, okay? Hey, thanks so much for your time. As always, be sure to click that like button for me also and subscribe, all right?